Welcome to another episode of The Godless Anti-Theist, providing you with some godless truth so that you might be able to see the abundant opportunity all around the earth to be good, for goodness sake. I was talking to some online atheists, anti-theists, secularists, humanists, and they were in a conversation about if Jesus was a real person. Perhaps they took a real dissident and turned him and used his life as the basis for this mythical Jesus Christ. We know that if there was a real Jesus, that he didn't turn water into wine, that he didn't heal the sick, and that he didn't walk on water. For one thing, if there happens to be some Christians listening, Jesus in the Bible, which I believe to be a myth, that there may have been a real man that they based this myth on, but that definitely Jesus the Christ never was. But anyway, the Bible, this mythical book, no more real than Harry Potter, and Jesus is no more real than the character Harry Potter or any of the characters in the Harry Potter series. But one thing that the Bible does say, that has Jesus saying, my dear Christians, is that if you are a true Christian, you will be able to move mountains. And that's not a metaphor. That's what Jesus says. If you want to move a mountain, just move it. You have the will. Christ. You've become Christ. You see, most people think that you're a follower of Jesus and you stay the same. You don't. You become Christ-like. You become a Christian. Christ. You become a Christian. You're a Christian. You are Christ. You become Christ. And Jesus said that his followers would do more miracles than even he has done. You see, the Bible says you can handle poisonous snakes and never die. The Bible says you can drink poison and never die from drinking the poison. Never die from a bite snake of a poisonous snake. The Bible says you can do more miracles than Jesus. Jesus says my followers will perform more miracles than I did, and more powerful miracles than I did. So you're saying you're Christ or a Christian, because that's what you're saying really. When you say I'm a Christian, you're saying I've accepted Jesus the Christ into my heart, into my soul, and I have become Christ. So I fell. I was tempted. I fucked around on my wife. You're not. You're not having those feelings if you're a Christian. Those feelings have been wiped out. What you are is a Pharisee Christian. You're a fake. If you lust after money, if you lust after sex, if you lust after anything of this world, you're not a Christian. You're not Christ. And if you're a follower of Jesus, you become Christ. You become a Christian, a Christian. And you can mispronounce it all you want. But you are a Pharisee Christian. let's move on. The evidence points to this man who the Bible and the superstitious leaders take this man who was probably well respected, and they turn him into a myth so they can use it to control those who fall into the superstition, under the sphere of this superstitious bullshit. So who was this Jesus? Most likely he was a Roman agent. Roman agent who was to help destroy and replace the real dissident, the real lover of humanity. So who was this person that this Jesus Roman agent was to replace? Well, read the Bible. Read the Bible. It's right there. The real lover of humanity lost his head. John the Baptist. It was John the Baptist who was the real lover of humanity. And he was killed by the Romans. Jesus even went to him to be baptized. And as soon as John the Baptist saw him, he says, here is the one. Yes, here is the one who's been sent to have me killed, to be my replacement. He knew who Jesus was. He knew Jesus was a Roman agent. It has been said that Martin Luther King knew that he had a phone call telling him not to go to the church, not to give his speech that night, to stop his speeches against the Vietnam War and war in general. You see, his agenda, he was allowed to speak on racism and to do a narrowly defined job. The elite was fine with the civil rights movement. But as soon as Martin Luther King added to his role of civil rights and started talking about their profitable Vietnam War, he was killed. He was told not to go to the church. He was told, if you continue on your path of speaking out against war, and specifically the Vietnam War, your days are numbered. So he knew going to this church and giving the speech was his death sentence. And that's why he came up with the I have a dream. He was telling his followers, the people like him who were lovers of humanity, he was telling them, I'm not going to make it because I'm not going to back down. JFK killed because he was going to start pulling the troops out of Vietnam. He was going to introduce colonial script back into our economy. You see, the way to get the bankers out of our lives and the way to get the bankers out of our money system and keep the bankers from controlling our money. Whoever controls our money controls our country, controls our lives. And there's a very easy way to get private bankers and private money speculators and Wall Street out of our money. And that is for the U.S. Treasury to take over the job of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is illegal. It is the duty of the U.S. Treasury to issue our money. How does this affect us? When the U.S. Treasury takes over and takes back their power to coin the money, the U.S. Treasury can then eliminate the Federal Reserve, issue loans to the people. Listen to this. The U.S. Treasury issues loans to the people on a small interest fee. They take that interest from the loans and they fund the federal and state government, the local government. Listen to this. This is revolutionary. The U.S. Treasury issues loans at interest. The loans are paid back. The interest is paid back. And the money from the interest, which is trillions of dollars, because remember, every dollar in circulation is being charged interest. Gazillions of dollars. And we fund the government off of this money. So we won't need taxes. No taxes. Who's paying for government funding? The people who are borrowing the money. Instead of going into private hands, it goes into our common government coffers. It goes back to us, we the people. We the people are loaning ourselves the money. We the people are loaning our neighbors the money. This is the whole point of It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life is a movie that has as featured a community bank. But really it's talking about the U.S. Treasury. You can have Mr. Potter, the private bankers, and the Wall Street manipulators running everything. Or you can have the government, and you elect those representatives. You don't elect the people in the Federal Reserve. You do elect the people in Washington, D.C. And guess what? You could use some of that money that is coming in from the interest on the loans that the U.S. Treasury is making. And there's going to be so much money there that you could fund elections. You could fund elections. Set a cap on how much everybody can spend. Eliminate these corporations' ability to influence elections. And this Jesus, a government agent, sent out to deceive the people, is like those government agents sent out, the ones that sent out and made bankers and Wall Street manipulators. It's a corrupt government that does this. And we can take back our country by taking back the money of our country. Because if you'll look on your dollar bill that's called a U.S. dollar, it doesn't say U.S. dollar on it. It used to, a long time ago. It says Federal Reserve. That's not a U.S. dollar. That's a Federal Reserve note. It's an IOU. It's a debt. Every dollar that's in circulation is a debt note. And who you want to be indebted to? Yourself and your neighbors, or fat cats who are using that money that you pay on your interest to ensure that you have low wages, no health care, no Social Security, no Medicare, no nothing. This day that they want to return to, if your husband died, your family went into poverty. The day they want to return to is if you got sick, deathly sick, you died. You either was strong enough to survive or you died. And even if you were strong enough, if you were sick and then sick again a couple months later, or maybe twice a year, and then 4 or 5 years, and that illness made a man who was strong, turned that man into a weak man, and he died. You just died. That's what they want to return to. Of course, they had all the money, so they had health care. And it wasn't just that the mother or the father died. Especially back then, when the father was the sole wage earner. If your father died, you went into poverty. The children were forced to go into work camps. The mother was forced to go into a work camp. You didn't survive. Your family didn't survive. And this is what the government agent, Jesus, was helping the Romans do. He was going out preaching his bullshit, having done away with John the Baptist, the real lover of humanity. Jesus was telling people, take no thought of tomorrow. So if you're a Christian, not only are you supposed to be able to perform miracles, but you're not supposed to take no thought for tomorrow. So if you're a Christian and you have a job that you go to every day, that you work Monday through Friday. In other words, when you have, let's say, Saturday and Sunday off, and while you're having your weekend off, Saturday and Sunday, you expect and have a job to go to Monday. You know, these conservatives, they're so hypocritical. They yell and scream at people, get a job. The exact opposite of what Jesus tells you to do. Don't get a job. Don't plan for tomorrow. Jesus says the birds in the field are fed. While the fox in the field is fed. Yeah, they have a hard life. They don't know whether they're going to eat tomorrow or not. When it snows, they've not made any preparations. We build houses. Why are you living in the house you're living in? Because it's set up that if it's hot, you can turn the air conditioning off. If it's cold, you can turn the heat on. Now, granted, a lot of people don't have that. There's a lot of poverty, and there's getting more and more poverty. But many of us have a certain amount of wealth. We have a TV, we have a radio, we have a computer, and we have a house that has heating and air conditioning. And we take thought of tomorrow. When we bought our heating, air conditioning, we thought, when it gets cold, we'll have heat, and when it gets extremely hot, we'll have cool. Dry cool. So we gave thought of tomorrow. When we go up and buy our TV, we give thought of tomorrow. We're going to watch this show today, and we're going to watch that show tomorrow. And how many sports fans plan a month in advance, or maybe even more, for the big game? How many of us have children giving thought for tomorrow? How many of us buy a computer giving thought for tomorrow? We give thought for tomorrow. It's a wise thing to do. And the insanity of this Jesus, Roman agent, telling you not to give thought for tomorrow is bullshit. Jesus says to love unconditionally. Well, that's bullshit. Love unconditionally. And this, treat others as you would treat yourself. I know people who like to be beaten with a belt. They beat themselves with a belt. They cut themselves to feel better, to relieve stress. They got cuts all over their arms. I know people who give themselves drugs, who inject drugs, who take drugs orally, who smoke drugs. Are you supposed to treat others like you treat yourself? Is the person who likes to be beaten with a whip allowed to beat you with a whip? That's treating others as you like them to treat you. Are they allowed to inject drugs into your veins? That they like to inject drugs into their veins. Are they allowed to treat others as they treat themselves? Are they allowed to blow marijuana smoke in your face when you don't want to smoke it? Well, they like to smoke it, and they're just treating you as they treat themselves. What about the guy who wishes he was dead, so he goes around killing people? He's treating others as he wants to treat himself. It's bullshit. It sounds good to the weak-minded. Treat others as you would treat yourself. It sounds good because most people who hear that and agree with it are decent people. Okay, if you're going to treat people the way you treat yourselves, when you see somebody on the street begging for money, you should give them $100. You should give them a TV. Treat others as you treat yourself. Not yell, get a job to them. Not walk by them and ignore them. You're not treating them as you would treat yourself. So it's Pharisee Christianity all around. First of all, it's a stupid statement. The real statement is, you show others the same respect they show you. That's what you call a friend. You're not friends with somebody who doesn't show you respect. I know plenty of people who are so fucked up that they are just terrible to be around. They cuss at you. They call you names. It's abuse. It's verbal abuse. You don't make that person your friend. You find people to be friends with who respect you, who care about you. You care about them because they care about you, and they care about you because you care about them. It's a sustainable relationship. Of course, the woman who dates the guy who downgrades her, who hits her, who beats her, that's not sustainable. It may last a while, a long time maybe, but it's not what society, the kind of relationship society wants for us all. And this Roman agent, Jesus, is backing all this. Jesus backs the government, corruption. He's not for elected government. He's not for peace. Jesus says, when I return from heaven the next time, I will bring a sword, and I'm going to kill every person who does not get on their knees and kiss my ass. And Christians are going to church every day, praying for this Armageddon, praying for the day when Jesus returns and kills me and anyone else who refuses to kiss Jesus' ass. It's tyranny. It's anarchy. It's evil. And Jesus was a government agent. The Romans killed John the Baptist and replaced John the Baptist with Roman agent Jesus. It goes on all the time. I'm not against the government of the United States, but I am against the corrupt who are in the government of the United States. I am against the corrupt government of the United States. It's corrupt because we the people have become corrupt. Corruption does not, listen closely, corruption does not begin at the top. It is grown at the bottom up. If the economy is tanked, we have allowed that. And the elite tanked the government and the economy in 2008. And we, for the last 30 years, those of us in the general population, have been going along to getting along and helping and allowing the top 1% to tank the economy. As soon as we accept blame for what we have done, perhaps we will accept responsibility, and the elite will stop being able to bring us people like Jesus. The elite will stop being able to kill John the Baptist type people. JFK, Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, John Lennon. And we will protect those people. And if they're harmed, we will rise up. I hope we do. It seems like we have accepted our corruption. And we are following the Roman agent, Jesus. Oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, my goodness. Why? Why have we done this? And why won't we accept the responsibility and make the change? Amy Mann has a song, and it goes, it's not going to stop. No, it's not going to stop till we wise up. Part of wising up is taking responsibility. Stop blaming the 1%. Stop blaming the corrupt who are in our government. After the elite are allowed to kill JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they all died in a short period of our history. And the decent folk, most of the decent folk who would run for office, saw that and said, whoa, do I want a bullet to the head? So who's running for office?
It's not